I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. West Miami man arrested after alleged gunpoint assault on male partner. West Miami police have arrested a 38-year-old man after alleged violent assault on his male sex partner after, quote, a revolting act involving a sexual encounter, end quote. Police say Luis Alberto Negrin was arrested after officers responded around 6 a.m. to reports of a man, quote, crying and bleeding in the middle of the roadway, end quote. According to investigators, the two men had been drinking and smoking before having sex at Negrin's home. Police allege Negrin committed an act involving, quote, fecal matter, end quote, without the victim's consent, leaving the victim, quote, angry and disgusted, end quote, and sparking a verbal agreement. Authorities say the confrontation escalated when Negrin allegedly pointed a handgun at the victim's head, followed him through the home, placed him in a headlock that caused him to lose consciousness twice, repeatedly punched him, and took his cell phone to prevent him from calling police. The victim eventually escaped to a neighbor's home and contacted authorities. Police say Negrin barricaded himself inside his residence for about 2 hours before surrendering. Negrin faces charges including aggravated assault with a firearm, battery by strangulation, battery and tampering with a witness or victim. Well, certainly our thoughts go out to the victim in this crime. Certainly one of the things that may or may not help people in the future, and I don't even know if it's a thought, and I know I'll get criticism on this broadcast probably for this, is have any of the apps for hooking up, and I'm assuming they might have hooked up, maybe they met in a bar, but do any of the apps have flags for background checks that you can do, or is that like, well, it's anonymous, so you can't do it?
Well, a lot of them are anonymous for the benefit of both the user, for the benefit of
You're
a lot
right.
of times
No,
for
and
the
I'm
user.
sorry that came out of my mouth then, but that there would be some way to.
But I think maybe another way to do this would be have when you see a profile and if your encounter has been violent, you can report it to the app company so that they can flag it and remove it. But I think that's in the age of data brokerages and data selling and data hoarding by corporations using them to exploit our civil rights, I think it would be premature to say that, hey, let's have the company run background checks. Can you imagine the chaos?
Well, let me retract what I said, and maybe I'll go further and say maybe there just needed to be a little more communication on what people were into, and maybe that still could have happened.
Well, this sounds like it was more than communication. There was a gun being drawn on someone. Like this is violence. This is sexual assault. Like,
of course, no.
And like, unfortunately, you listen. I'm Mr. Lefty. Don't use the police for most things, but like, this is a situation where the authorities come in, arrest someone, and they get prosecuted. That's the only way you can handle these situations. If you're physically attacking people,
you're right.
Like that's the only way to deal with it. He should not be able to get back onto an app for hopefully. I don't know what the amount of jail time is for something like this, but it's not like a week or two. Like so, unfortunately, that's the only way to deal with it.
Yeah, he confined the victim.
Yeah.
He abused him.
And this is essentially kidnapping, assault, false imprisonments. The litany goes on. And I just want to, and also I'm wondering, I don't think drinking and smoking are the only thing that was involved here. I mean, if you're...
And there's nothing wrong with it. I'll be the first one to say there is nothing wrong with getting a little drunk, smoking something, and having a messy time with another man. That is a wonderful thing, but this was not that.
No, this is a collapse from a hookup into a violent episode. Well, and also, can I just say that we actually have to describe the materials involved in this one?
Well, and in the communities out there, straight or gay, there are people who are into that type of kink, and that's a reality. But clearly the victim's rights were violated.
Yeah.
Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.